Bursting Sinew is a brand new cantrip in Baldur's Gate 3 which allows you to explode corpses on demand. In the past, collecting the dead like their Pokemon cards was considered weird or even psychopathic behavior, and now it's just strategy. But with fresh bodies being a limited resource out there in the world, would it be possible to play through the game using it as your only attack? What might such an attempt even look like? And can you beat Baldur's Gate 3 using only Corpse Explosion? The only rule for this run is all damage ideal must come from the Bursting Sinew cantrip. No normal attacks, jank damage loopholes, or traditional smoke powder bombs may be used, only Corpse Explosion. Don't you love it when it's simple? Because weaponizing bodies sounds like the Dark Urge's wet dream, that choice was a no-brainer. I picked the new Death Domain cleric for a class, named myself Sinuella, emerged from my pod, and started the search for death. Full disclosure, this entire playthrough was done on the patch 8 stress test. There may be a few bugs they're still working on, but I figured if somebody gets to stress test the shit out of a new toy, it's gonna be me, with these many kind strangers aboard the Nautiloid giving their bodies to BG3 science. Thanks to them, these imps shouldn't give me too much grief. Let's get this corpse out on a tray and quickly cover how Bursting Sinew works. This cantrip deals 1d10 piercing damage in a circle around a corpse, but you can't reuse an already detonated one. For that reason, bodies are effectively a limited ammo type for the challenge. The Death Domain cleric's Reaper passive lets you target up to 2 corpses for the cost of 1 action. 2d10 area damage is an extremely high roll for a cantrip, but keep in mind your enemy also gets to roll a dexterity saving throw. You can think of it a bit like Sacred Flame. You know the one that Shadowheart has that's famous for never hitting anything? Yeah, this works in much the same way, except you also require ammo to take the shot. On the plus side, the Nautiloid has way more bodies than you could realistically carry out of here, so a few failed explosions now isn't the end of the world. I freed Shadowheart purely for the carry capacity, gathered additional cadavers, used whatever I couldn't lift, and made my timely escape via Grand Theft Nautiloid. On the beach, Shadowheart swore to carry my burdens, and together we scavenged along the sea, stuffing corpses into barrels, backpacks, or buckets of fish to send back to camp. The Injured Mind Flare was my first go at testing out patch 8's new photo mode feature, and I'd have to give it a 10 out of 10. It's like you get to be a god of time. We're going to be using this one a lot. Astarion joined the party, because there's nothing family friendly about this concept or that man. The portrait's bugged out, they're going to do that sometimes, revealing an unflattering mugshot. Don't worry, Larian's working on it. Lae'zel was the next planned recruit, and to conserve ammo I convinced these tieflings to run away. What I didn't expect though is that Bursting Sinew can't damage objects. Lae'zel talked mad shit about it.
Questionable intellect. Unsurprising.
So I decided to leave that elitist jerk behind. At least we still got the backup. Gale's human racial for increased carry capacity makes him a superior corpse jockey anyways. With the dream team assembled, the first goal is going to be unlocking withers to fix up these builds. I got Astarion to pick the lock to the tomb's not so secret backdoor entrance and pre-exploded the skeletons, fully confident this would prevent their resurrections. It didn't. Out of desperation, I barricaded the door to Wither's bedroom with fragile vases, forcing them to come to me. In a 200 IQ move I should have seen coming, these brainless skellies countered me with fog. I'd like to say that's the reason I kept accidentally hitting myself, but the truth is I was just really bad at using the skill at this point. On the bright side, these skeletons are among the weakest creatures in the game, and they have below average dexterity. So how many corpses do you think it took for me to deal the 93 total damage necessary to win the encounter? Go ahead, write it in a comment right now. If you guessed 10, you're wrong. 15? Nope. 20? Close. It was 22. This single battle took a disastrous 22 corpses. So many, in fact, that Astarion had to flee the battle, go to the beach, and scavenge around like a flesh-hungry vulture mid-fight. Didn't know the stress test meant that I'd be the one that's stressed. After that train wreck finally concluded, Withers is set free, and the grove approached. With my 0 remaining corpses in the bank, I handled this one in the only way I knew how, by hiding in a bush. By the end, only Zevlor was left standing, which is exactly what evil me wanted. Our party picked the battlefield clean, sold the trash, and used the cash to fix my builds. Wizards, sorcerers, and clerics can all learn Bursting Sinew, and since I have no idea which class is the best to I can't say that. Every class will have a go. We're gonna learn together, whether you like it or not. Down the road from the grove, I stumbled upon more recyclable materials, then cosplayed a drow to get through the blighted village directly to Joaquin's Rest. Figured there'd be a lot of bodies to pick up there, but unfortunately most of them are too damaged from the fire to be of any use. Because of lore reasons, or something, I don't know, Bursting Sinew requires a pristine specimen before you can shred them to tiny bits. While here, Floric was of course freed, a mission a toddler could handle, yet not this grown woman. And as I was still suffering from the trauma that was the 2025 Wither's bedroom incident, I wanted to ensure that no such nightmare ever happens again. The best way I could think to obtain more dead without wasting my precious collection was to encourage others to participate in battles they cannot win. I instructed these cultists to take on the Owlbear, Auntie Ethel to kill some bros, Knowles to eviscerate one another, and Kaga to turn against her former Shadow Druid allies, all while sitting on the sidelines to collect the remains of these overconfident losers. It's not my fault they died, it's murder by proxy. For science, Will was used to explode a squirrel. He was revivable afterwards, but disappointingly, it seemed to make him not recruitable. It appears further companion testing may be required. Body snatching like this was a decent start. We'd accumulated 61 expired remains. But since this is Faerun and not Soviet Russia, you can't just go to the corpse store down the street to get more. To fulfill my needs, we're gonna need to instigate an all-out war. Sorry, Zevlor. Minthara wants to know your location. As ordered by her ladyship, I returned to the grove to blow the horn of war. Finally, the moment you've all been waiting for. The second battle of the game. Zevlor is betrayed and a new strategy employed. We stand our ground ready to burst sinews while Astarion here chills in camp sending supplies directly to the battlefield. For a while, I was thinking maybe I just got super unlucky in that earlier encounter, but when these first two corpses dealt a whopping 2 damage, that idea quickly faded. Trying to place corpses so that they're in range of the enemy, but not myself, and still clickable, is frustrating in a way that's hard to describe. During this process, I accidentally clicked twice on the same target. At first I thought it wasted the action, but a quick look at the combat log shows that there were 2 saving throws made. It appears that the Death Domain Cleric, much like the College of Swords Bard, doesn't require you to select 2 different targets for its cast. Did I just double my ammo? Is this intended? I don't know, but you can bet your ass I'm doing this from now on. For good measure, I closed the gate on my goblin buddies too, pulling off the old double betrayal. Don't feel bad for them. Goblins aren't people, and fantasy racism is funny. The next fight with these surviving tieflings fully confirmed that yes, the damage can trigger twice from one corpse. This doesn't increase the potential damage at all, it only means that I shouldn't need to play like a total bitch anymore relying on others to do my dirty work. You clicked here to see explosions, and thanks to this discovery you're gonna see some bona fide blasts. Siding with the goblins was a gift that just kept giving, and giving, and giving. This whole war thing was a flawless victory. My coffers are stuffed with rotting meat. But the problem with all these dead people is that they're just so difficult to move around. Dead baby spiders, on the other hand, like a feather. Trading 1 human for 4 spiderlings was a solid trade, and it gave me a new idea. Below the blighted village, I stealth past a few angry looking spiders to engage in combat with the spider queen. I think you know where this is going. Dead spider kidnapping. She spawned in her babies, I used worthless heavy humanoids to end these newborn lives, then mid-battle added them to my collection. A traumatizing experience for everyone involved. Withers offered an easy way out to the fallen, and overall I exchanged 4 overweight human cadavers for 15 beautiful arachnids. With all that Spidey stuff wrapped up, it was time for a quick visit to the Underdark. Down here, I kill stole a Minotaur, mainly to play around with the new camera mode stuff again. Then discovered you can't cast Bursting Sinew on plant-type creatures like the myconoids. Logical, because most plants I've seen do not have bones. After a lengthy bottom-feeding session, the party took the next boat overseas to Grimforge. Some more unruly spiders helped me reach level 5, which is the point when Bursting Sinew upgrades to a 2d10 damage cantrip. Maybe this means it won't be garbage anymore. The best way to find out was on these dwarves who were in the process of throwing away very useful supplies. Considering it is a cantrip, using only 6 corpses to deal 140 damage to these 2 left me both stunned and amazed. Thinking these magma mephits would be another cost-effective trade, I went wild on them too, happily blasting away. Only to realize afterwards that elementals cannot be targeted by Bursting Sinew. Maybe you at home saw that coming, but I sure didn't. I did, however, expect that the Mithril Vein here would be immune to my powers. Looks like Grim and his OP armor won't be up for grabs this time. Not that Grim ever realistically was. I wasn't going to include this next part in the video, but something I'd never seen in over 2,000 hours played happen. As I was completing my final sweep of Act 1's corpses, I went as far as stealing the dinner right out from under this gnoll's face. He apparently didn't like that maneuver, and followed me all the way back to camp once I'd fled the battle. I killed him using Corpse Explosion, but you knew that already. Fully confused about what just occurred and a little sick of the mess he left in my camp, I left the region for the beautiful mountain pass. So beautiful, in fact, it's time to snap a few pics. For a feature I wasn't excited for in the slightest, it's somehow becoming the best part of patch 8. Moments later, Lady Esther, the old racist grandma, interrupted our photo shoot to offer me a trade deal. We give her 1 gif egg, and she promises we'll be well compensated later on. Considering the outcome of completing that quest, she has no idea how correct she really is. This party doesn't normally kidnap the living, but for her, we'd make an exception. Plus, exploding these kobolds on the way there really brought up my mood, as did handling the Grimmiskas. Anything small and weak, I'm your guy. A barricade I'm unable to destroy through corpse exploding means blocked the entrance to the creche, although it's nothing a box tower can't handle. Joke's on you, Mom and Dad, who said playing with Legos would never help my career. Inside the creche, these gifts let me take their egg, I did some shopping, talked real good to get past the Kithrak, rotated the statue, entered the secret door, and claimed my legendary— oh, yeah, there's a barrier here. No matter. Walls don't stop me. Proxy boxy tactics never fail. The first wall is cleared, a second tower assembled, and the Blood of Lathander is mine. Not counting the egg that was sold into slavery, no Gith were even harmed in the process. Still level 5, we leave Act 1 with 141 corpses. If you thought inventory management in this game sucked before, wait until you try to clean up this mess. By way of Grimforge, we entered the Shadow-Cursed lands. Why that way? To meet the Harpers, of course. This dialogue choice for hoping they die has never been more lore accurate. They were looted and the battlefield fled. He who was straight on noped out of there upon robbing him blind. Then down the road these ravens exploded in a beautiful display of blood and gore, getting me to level 6, a crucial level for this run, because now you will never miss. I'll betray Marcus at Last Light In right now just to explain that wild statement. The Evocation Wizard's potent cantrip passive causes damage dealing cantrips which would have missed to instead deal half damage. With this newfound power, every creepy crawly hand here is blown apart in just 2 casts, guaranteed. You have no idea how happy that just made me. The game is finally playable. To celebrate, I joined the Harpers who wanted to ambush an unfriendly neighborhood Driderman. Believe me when I say I was oh so excited to participate. His several goblin followers burst before my very eyes. Hit or miss? I bet you never miss, huh? Oh crap. Yeah, so apparently you still miss. Larian forgot to make this action work with potent cantrips. Guess that's why it's still in the testing phase. I reported the bug, and the good news is they fixed it already. The bad news is it was the day after I ended this run. Unfortunately for past Proxy, this challenge just got 10 times harder than it was supposed to be. Those stupid crawly hands literally all got unlucky earlier just to fake me out. My day is ruined and disappointment immeasurable. 27 wasted corpses later, Carnus the Drider is no more. Out of pure anger, I smashed the moon lantern over this biohazard of a battlefield. The whole caravan's dead, and I got nothing to show for it. Not giving up though, not yet. That'll be a pretty lame video. It's time to head to Moonrise Towers, but not inside. I jumped up to the roof before meeting Ketheric to metagame the shit out of this place because, spoiler alert, Ketheric is gonna be fought up here later, and he will kick my ass. But not if his groupies are already taken care of. Hopefully, that's the plan anyways. Even these normally helpless necromites were no pushovers to my awful party. As for the rest of Moonrise, I raided Balthi's lab, added dead pixies to the list of things you can't explode, pet a dog, then dropped a corpse in the middle of the lobby. And boy did that not go over well. Explosives being placed nearby and nobody bats an eye. But a corpse of someone they don't even know, and suddenly these murderous absolutists lose their minds? Some of the other things I tried here were cat bombing, which kinda worked. I tried fighting straight up, which didn't work at all. And I even tried a senseless YOLO strat where I rounded up the entire building while sanctuaried, forced them to chase me outside, and locked the door on these unkillable eyeballs. However, none of these tactics were displaying any sense of the word efficiency. Despite continuously killing people, my corpse count had dropped to 123, and in almost 6 hours played, I hadn't earned even a single level. Moonrise broke me to the point that I was looking forward to the Gauntlet of Shar. Yeah, it was that bad. I hightailed it the hell out of there to go down the elevator to see Shar's warriors. I was pretty curious to see if you could damage these Umbra portals, and unsurprisingly, you can't. But more than that, the real struggle I've been facing all challenge long is that there's no effective way to group up your enemies and keep them in one tight AoEable ball. Visiting this location though, revived a thought deep in my lizard brain. Arcane lock. Enemies can't path to you through a locked door. When they try, they end up grouping outside waiting for it to open. Next, you unlock the door, place your corpses, detonate them, and relock the door, safely waiting for your next turn. Why didn't I think of this one sooner? Balthazar was next to reaffirm the strat, and it worked flawlessly. This medic tried desperately to open the door for his master, to no avail. I even managed to get the kill steal on Balthi. Then the enemies formed an orderly queue for some cost-effective bone splintering. Funny enough though, this Crusader on low HP was fully immune to physical damage, so I had no way to actually kill it. It was a bit of a bro though and killed flesh to get my party to level 7, so thanks Mr. Crusader. Of all places to find fun, the Gauntlet of Shar was not where I expected it. Things were looking up. Skeletons all around were collected. A ring which works with bursting sinew equipped. A couple of rats procured, but not all these rats, because some of these rats are magical rats that poof away on death. That's only half sarcasm. For the library encounter, I tried to recycle the door strat. Note to self, use a stronger door. Thankfully, Shar's own justiciars couldn't pass her trials, and she punished them dearly. You don't earn any XP when they die like this, which kinda sucks, but at least it costs you nothing. They even kindly dogpiled themselves for an easy cleanup. While here, I grabbed the Umbral Gem for the elevator, figured I'd ride it down. Never really noticed that these banners are here. The knock spell got the door open and we entered the Shadowfell. As much as I think it would be in character to spear the Night Song right now, that's clearly a melee attack in the cutscene. Legally, I can't allow Shadowheart to do it, so the Night Song is released. Besides, her help isn't exactly something I can afford to turn away right now. Before assisting the Harpers back at Moonrise, the butler suggested Isabel be slain since she's all alone. Sounds evil. Let's do it. Originally, I was gonna use her to get the killing blow against Ketheric in some sort of poetic justice sort of thing. Forgot about that though, and you'll see why soon. Together with the Harpers, this assault on Moonrise Towers is initiated. Zarel complained about our sudden betrayal, and perhaps Jaheira should have listened. The only way anyone on either side of this battle is leaving these halls would be dead inside my bags. The prison basement gave me a chance to try an alternate version of the door strat using a chest. It worked pretty well, at least against these guys. We hit level 8, and the necromancers continued summoning necromites to stumble upon my corridor of death. Unlike most summoned creatures in the game, necromites still leave their bones behind once slain. Bones which weigh 1/5 as much as a standard non-North American human. It's certainly not quick, and you don't earn any experience, but this was the only viable corpse generation method I ever came across. To not waste the opportunity, I did this for 2 hours, stuffing my camp chest full of juicy necromite bones. At which point the necromancers stopped creating more, I think because too many got stuck on this island. Happy enough with the results though, I took the spoils, dealt with the door blocker necromancer, and greeted Ketheric atop the tower. Ketheric is scary, but for outdoor Ketheric my previous strategies are still valid. It's Shadowheart's turn to wait in camp and deliver my weapons to the battlefield, allowing a never-ending stream of bodies to plop on down from the heavens, oftentimes dealing between 0 and 2 damage with each blast. The unfortunate reality is that Ketheric gets +8 to his dex saving throws, has resistance to piercing damage, and takes 2 reduced damage from all sources. This combo makes him the most splinter-resistant man in the known universe. Due to my earlier prep work though, we outnumber him, and after roughly 35 bursted bodies, a few heavy hands from the Night Song, and 1 more bursted body, the general retreated into the Mind Flayer colony. If you were wondering why exactly I've been acting like such a cheapskate for the entire game, constantly stressing over my body count, it's because of what comes next. Once you enter the colony, there's no going back.
Hey, you're finally awake.
The camp delivery system is dead. Literally everything is going to need to be put on our backs and carried inside. Full strength was cast to bring the party's carry capacity to 500 each, and like true psychopaths, we divided up the remains of our victims. By selecting the Take All button on an open container, you can go well beyond the mortal limits of carry weight. You'll just be very slow. The first hurdle down here is this membrane. By now we're all used to the cantrip failing to break everything but my spirit, so I brought crates to climb over it. Slowly we hobbled through the colony. Took some time to summon additional cannon fodder, including the new patch 8 Shadow Pup. Isn't he cute? Then together we descended to fill up a couple of new battlefield corpse caches on the front lines. Who needs the camp chest when you can just bring the whole thing? An invisible scratch starts things off by setting the Night Song free. Gale casts darkness on Ketheric, then constructs a makeshift prison cell out of chests. Sorry Ketheric, you don't get to participate until I say so. You think this is your domain? Welcome to hell. Oh my god, he just jumped out. You can do that? Why did I think you can't jump out of darkness? My entire strategy was ruined by the most basic move in the book. No matter, I'll just keep on blinding him and reconstructing the prison every turn to waste his bonus actions, all whilst praying he doesn't summon more crap that I can't deal with. 1 by 1, 2 by 2, his allies would fall. Countless times I opened the inventory screen, dragged a single object out of there, and did it again. The definition of insanity, yes, but the battle was swinging into my favor. Roll the music montage, editor Proxy. Yeah, so that last thing in the script was kind of copium. Ketheric's armor is just too thick, his necromites too numerous, and the Night Song? Too ass. Having a maximum damage of 8 really sucks, but more than that is the fact that it misses almost all the time. It took 1 hour and 2 minutes for this party to slay his initial minions, deal 131 damage to Ketheric, and push him into Merkle mode. That's the easy part, by the way. By the time we got there, I'd exhausted most support spell slots, all potions, and 60% of my total ammunition, with another 390 HP left on the boss. Both the math and this game over screen proved to me that this is not happening. My repeated attempts were not better either. You have no idea how close I was to just quitting the challenge right here and now. For most humans, 35 hours of painful, torturous gameplay is enough. Not for this masochist apparently, because I still believe there could be fun somewhere in my future. So instead of giving up, I'm gonna be a real man and drop the difficulty. Trust me, the challenge is still a challenge. But in exchange for this, I won't use my overly used invis skips for the rest of the game. Sanity for me, entertainment for you. On balanced difficulty, Ketheric loses his piercing damage resistance, so now my maximum damage is 18 per action. You still miss more often than not. That didn't change, nor did the usefulness of the Night Song. She's as worthless as ever. But it didn't matter. Bursting Sinew felt balanced unbalanced. Don't worry though, that feeling is very short-lived. Ketheric went down in a mere 36 minutes, without draining the blood from the veins that is my corpse stockpile. Aelin stomping on his noggin put a great big smile on my face. The Netherstone is claimed, and it's off to Act 3. Or it would be, but I said there's no invis skips. So it's Gift Bridge ambush time. The first burst of the battle left me thoroughly confused, as not only did my attack do 0 damage, it somehow healed my enemy. I know what you're thinking, but it's not a bug. This gamer girl has psionic Gith armor, which causes successful saving throws to heal her while entirely blocking my hit. Basically, it's the double middle finger. Her health kept yo-yoing up and down over and over, successfully pissing me the fuck off. There was once a time where I thought Bursting Sinew was my favorite part of patch 8. Not anymore. Friendship ended with Bursting Sinew. Now photo mode is my best friend. This Gith's long overdue death means unbelievably we're out of the Shadow Curse lands. Finally. But it's time for one more jackass gift to interrupt a good night's sleep. Into the portal with the Misty Step, blast a few more brain cats, and then it's up to the Emperor. He reveals he's a mind flayer, making my companions worried. But with the atrocities we'd commit to reach here, he should be more bothered by us than we are of him. Also, look how good I got at judging the distance to drop a body now. Gale started off strong here with 4 failed hits, leaving me completely dumbstruck. Don't know why I'm still surprised at this point though. The Intellect Devourers were my ally both in life and death, especially because I'd once again not brought enough supplies for the scenario. Gale had to spend his time running around the battlefield collecting rotting brain cats for the others to weaponize. Placing corpses anywhere on the space rocks to use them for an attack was agonizing, because I always had to take either an attack of opportunity or the corpse blast itself. This one too was a struggle, but nothing's been easy so far. The Emperor offered the chance to become half a lithid, and I was not turning that down. One sleep later and Act 3 begins. We'd finally arrived, Rivington City. Something's wrong with me though. Tell me, what do you see when you look at the townsfolk? Because here's what I see. A group of nearby citizens gave their life for science, and I talked my way out of further conflict, only to learn that you cannot pick up an unnamed citizen. Never before have so many of my ideas failed in a single video. The circus at least went well. So many lovely spectators volunteered to make the show go on. Baldur's Gate having a large population of murderers really made my job easier. Their already dead victims being nearby means encountering them is less of a pain in the ass than usual. Don't get me wrong, it's still awful. They saving throw most of the time like everybody else does, but anytime you don't need to dig into your own supplies, it makes the day a little better. Embracing Father Ball's ideologies, I then searched for unsuspecting groups of citizens to snatch up. Picnickers, bonfire enjoyers, wagon thieves, anyone who won't be missed. After playing around like that for a while, we entered Gortash's keep, hitting level 9 in the process. A pact was made with Gortash. He wants Orin dead and so do I. But first I need to clean up the vermin of Baldur's Gate. Literal vermin. Collecting 43 dead rats from this single room was like Christmas in February. Cat lovers might want to look away for a sec. To become an unholy assassin, the chef must die. For the quest, his hand is removed, and now with photo mode you can actually see that it's gone. To stomp out any competition amongst murderers, my rival had his pockets picked. He sure whined a lot about it afterwards. Next, Leroican lent me his wizardry goods to increase the odds of my spells landing. God knows I need it. At the Society of Brilliance, my Gith egg investment paid off. Feels like there's a lot of blood here for this few people. But what do I know? I never killed somebody in real life. The cemetery seemed like it would be a good pit stop for this group, but after digging up a couple graves, some angry kobolds popped up out of the ground to instigate a fight. Even in my own element, this battle brought me to tears. If a literal graveyard can't keep this build fueled, there is no hope. I locked myself in the bathroom, out of both fear and shame. Gortash must have heard me crying or something because he sent a steel watcher to save the day. And with that I decided it's time to cut out all this optional bullshit. Not one time has it ever worked out the way I wanted anyways. Let's end this nightmare. The Murder Tribunal is the next destination. This isn't an RP walk, just the entire party is over encumbered. Once inside, Sarevok led the way straight to the sacrificial elephant. As sad as it is, this fight was in my top 3 most enjoyable encounters of this playthrough. Being chained up, he ain't exactly dodging what I'm throwing down, nor do I risk hurting myself in confusion. We're promoted to Unholy Assassins, and the Echo of Abasgal appears. This spooky ghost sells the Ballist armor, which causes nearby creatures to be vulnerable to piercing damage. All my damage is piercing damage. It's a good thing. Down into the sewers we went, picking up rats along the way, until we reached Manslaughter Chasm. I said I wouldn't invisibly skip stuff, so here goes nothing. At least I'd get to test out the Ballist armor, I thought. But joke's on me because this ghost is immune to the effect and has resistance to piercing damage. Did I mention the ghost also has advantage on saving throws? Yeah, I got game overed. Round 2 wasn't perfect, but Astarion managed to clutch it with a pigeon, getting the party to level 10. This is going to be the last major damage increase we're ever going to see, as Bursting Sinew goes from a 2d10 to a 3d10. Yeah, I know it sounds good and all, but remember, it never even hits anything. Oh look, we're already at Orin's murder temple. My murder temple. I'm the Dark Urge Sinuela after all. Disney Prince of Ball. Do you think anyone's going to let me get away with that? Our bounty of bodies was placed in a nearby chest, and before beginning the fight, I stealthily plotted them all around the room. Ballis must be used to that sort of thing here because nobody said a word. The battle with Orin begins, and I have to say, Bursting Sinew handled her invokers really quite well. Most went down in just 2 or 3 casts. The struggle only really made its presence known once Orin was the lone target. She's unstoppable, and her legendary action shreds whichever poor unfortunate soul triggers her. The Ballist armor did help, but you need to be close enough to smell her breath before it activates. Not only that, but it makes placing the corpses even more frustrating, as you'll easily hit the close proximity Aura Master by mistake. As the battle progressed, the arena became 100% the most disgusting battlefield I've ever seen in my life. Ball must have been proud. Orin was shredded. She shapeshifted into a puddle, and her netherstone was obtained. Turns out the real challenge in this temple was finding Orin's gore pile amongst the viscera. It's a bit like a game of Where's Waldo amongst the blood and gore. Oh, there it is. Before leaving, I broke Orin's mom, mainly because I couldn't pick her up and carry her, and while on the way to deliver the news of Orin's demise, we stumbled upon a gift from good guy Gortash himself. Did he really execute 24 noblemen just for me? This handsome young man really knows how to rizz up balls chosen. Somehow he claimed we're more sane than Orin and gave me the location of the Morphic pool. While I'd love to follow him and just end the game right now, Orin really drained my coffers, so it's off to commit more crimes against humanity. It's the Gondians this time. We sailed to the Iron Throne, and I purposely blocked the escape hatch, collecting them as they had their briefest glimpse of freedom. In death, they will aid in battle against the Absolute. Duke Ravengard escaped with us, looking rightfully pissed off, I might add. Strangely, upon returning to dry land, all of the Gondians I'd picked up vanished from my inventory. When I went to go check on the beach, they were all there. I guess not even Larian could comprehend someone doing an act this vile. Cazador's mansion was burglarized for his animals alone. Giant rats weigh the exact same amount as normal rats, oddly enough. Physics are a wonder. Werewolves, my kryptonite. Had to run away from them because they're immune to everything I did. I took the heaviest inventory I could to trade them all for cranium rats. Don't ask me about the boat because I don't know what the hell happened to it. Patches do weird things. My inventory was then painstakingly sorted to reveal roughly about 200 available shots. If that sounds like a lot, that's because it probably is. I hope anyways. Oh dear God, it has to be, right? We loaded over 5,000 pounds of rotting meat into this skiff, which somehow remained afloat. And when this spike impaled it, that really should have been a game over. But our party's superhuman swimming saved the day. We slowly, and I do mean slowly, walked our way up to the intellect of our ambush. Thankfully, this is the one type of battle our builds can handle. They exploded. I ran out of synonyms for both that word and corpse a long time ago. Gortash is met, Gortash is killed, us is saved, me is mind flared. What am I doing? City, speech, and into the sewers. A goblin kindly helped my party reach level 11. Not mind flare me though, because the game bugged and I'm permanently level 10. It's cool. I'm over it. The sewer battle is always easier, and yet my party's still nearly wiped down here. Doesn't help that the Emperor is nothing more than a target dummy. I laughed when I saw the Mind Flayer casting magic missiles at a clearly closed door, only for him to completely obliterate it. They really do know things we don't. Upon winning that confrontation, I realized that I'd clearly over-prepared in the corpse department. As I flew up to the top in my Mind Flayer form, I felt a wave of regret. Nothing to do with that excess of ammo I'd brought. Not that at all. It was more to do with starting this godforsaken challenge in the first place. Sanctuaried, we slipped our way up to the brain. It's not invis, and I'm over it. Gale the pack mule was cheered as he hauled our countless victims we didn't need up to the crown. I didn't have the heart to tell him. Under the cover of darkness, a portal is open, and inside the party gathered around the Brian. Everything I owned was dropped for it to see. Intimidation tactics. No more worrying about misclicking bodies. No more worrying about dropping something 1 pixel out of range. The nightmare is over. From here you can just click anywhere because the arena is such a mess. Hands down, the brain was the easiest encounter of the game. Unsurprisingly, a brain lacks the dexterity necessary to dodge bone splinters flying towards its lobes. I tried desperately to get a photo finish. Didn't really work. More of a photo flashbang than anything. In Ball's name, it was dominated. The world enslaved. And everyone in the universe's corpses would sit in my collection waiting to be used for future corpse explosions. It's true you can beat Baldur's Gate 3 using only Corpse Explosion, but if you have even a sliver of self-respect, do not do this. If you enjoyed my suffering, consider leaving a like, and why not check out this other challenge run, where I played through Baldur's Gate 3 rolling only once. Big thanks to everyone who watched this video, and thanks for helping me reach 100,000 subscribers. Almost. Even more thanks to my channel members, you guys are amazing. Until next time, Proxy out.